Hello, 3rd and 4th grade. Today for science, I wanted to go through the section that you've been reading so far yesterday and today, and we'll be reading on Monday. And just kind of highlight a few points for you as you read through this. So we're on page 212, 9.6, the origin of the universe. And it says, think of the earth, our home, and of all the things, living and non-living, that are on it. Then think of the sun, the moon, the lights that rule the day and the night, and the innumerable stars in the millions of galaxies. Where did all these things come from? Do you think that scientists can tell us? Scientists can prove some things by observation and careful experiments. We can learn many wonderful things through the study of science, and we have learned that many such things as we have studied in this book. If a thing cannot be observed, however, scientists cannot tell us much about it. If a hypothesis cannot be tested by experiments, then scientists cannot prove that it is true. Science cannot tell us about the beginning of the world and the beginning of life. Was any scientist present to observe what happened when the universe came into existence? No. Can we send a rocket ships back in time to find out what happened? No, we can't. Can we do experiments to show where the first life came from? Again, no. Is there any way to make and test a hypothesis about how something happened so long ago? No. Scientists cannot really prove what happened before there were any people. Some things that we cannot learn through science, we learn by believing someone we can trust. Do you know the day of your birth? You probably do, but not by your own observation. You know it by trusting someone who is there or by reading written medical records. We can know about God's creation of the universe because He has told us about it in His Word. No other person was there in the beginning. The Bible contains God's true and reliable written record of what happened at creation, and we accept this record by faith. And that verse in Hebrews 1, verse 3 tells us about how we have to accept that by faith. What this section was just talking about is the fact that we don't know. There's no way for us to test or go back in time to see what actually really happened. We have to believe God's word and trust that it's true, that what He is telling us is true. There's no other way that we can know exactly how the world came into being. Just like you weren't there when you were born or don't actually remember your birth, no one was there but God when He created the world. And we have to trust that what His word tells us is true. Genesis 1:1 says, "In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. Before the creation of the universe, there was only God. God made matter and energy out of nothing. He spoke and it was so." You've learned many things about matter and energy this year. Can you name some of them? And the matter and energy chapters are ones that we actually skipped when we hopped around in the book. So you'll be learning about them soon. But maybe you'll remember you already know some things about matter and energy. God also made the waters, and His Spirit moved upon the face of the waters to bring into existence the wonderful world that we know today. And it's just amazing how powerful and awesome our God is, that all He had to do was speak and things came into existence. So, on the first creation day, God created light and divided the light from darkness, making day and night. What special characteristics of light can you recall? Why do we have day and night? So if you remember, we have day and night because of the rotation of the earth. On the second day, God created the firmament, which He called heaven. The firmament is the atmosphere that surrounds the earth. What special things about the air can you recall that make life on our planet possible? So remember that the atmosphere helps to keep in the heat at night and also helps to keep out too much of the sunlight so we don't get too hot or burn up. Also, the air is always moving, and it creates different weather patterns that we've looked at. And those weather patterns allow for rain to come to Earth. It allows for sunshine and cloudy days. It gives us the things that we need in order to survive. Then, God gathered the waters together to make the dry land appear on the third day. Can you name the continents and the oceans? Think back through each of the continents. We live on the continent of North America, and right below us is the continent of South America. So we've got where we live here, North America, and down below us is the continent of South America. Then across the Atlantic Ocean, we have Europe, the continent of Africa, and the continent of Asia. Then down below Asia, in the Pacific Ocean, we have the continent of Australia. And at the very bottom of the world is the continent of Antarctica. Then for the oceans, going back to where we live, we're here in North America. Between North America, South America, Europe, and Africa is the Atlantic Ocean that flows through here. So we keep going around the world. We've got the Indian Ocean, which is down here between Africa, Asia, and Australia. Between Australia, Asia, and North and South America is the Pacific Ocean. And then up here at the top of the world, we have the Arctic Ocean. If you remember, the Atlantic Ocean is one that is known for a lot of fishing. The Pacific Ocean is the largest one. The Indian Ocean is the warmest ocean. And the Arctic Ocean is the coldest ocean. On the third day, God also commanded the earth to bring forth an abundance of the wonderful variety of plants we enjoy today, each with the ability to reproduce new plants of the same kind. You've learned the names of many plants this year. We've looked at some, and the plant chapter is another one that we will get to eventually. It says, how many can you still recall? In creating the plants, God was preparing the earth to be man's home. The Bible tells us that twice on the third day, after God separated the seas and the land, and after He created the plants, God saw that His work was good. It says, can you explain why plants are especially important to life on earth? Without plants, we would not be able to survive. We need the plants in order to make food. Whether the food is that we actually eat the plants or animals eat the plants and then we eat them, we need those plants for food. But also, we need the plants for the oxygen that they get off. Remember that plants breathe in our carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen for us. Then we breathe in the oxygen and breathe out the carbon dioxide for them. So without plants, we wouldn't have food and we wouldn't have the air that we need in order to breathe. The sun, moon, stars, and other heavenly bodies appeared on the fourth day. God made them to divide day from night, to give light to the earth, and to be for signs, seasons, days, and years. How many heavenly bodies can you name? So think back through the ones that we've learned so far. There's the sun and the moon. There's also Earth. Then there's the other planets. The planet that's closest to the Earth is Mercury. Then next out we have Venus, followed by Earth, then Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And then we also hung up in our classroom one of the dwarf planets, Pluto. In addition to that, there are so many other stars out there that God has made. And we looked at some of the constellations that those stars are a part of. Again, God saw that His work was good. On the fifth day, God created the birds and all the animals that live in water. It says, how many of these can you name? We looked at a lot of the animals that live in the ocean. We looked at the whales, the sharks, and many different kinds of fish that live there. He created each bird and each water animal with the ability to reproduce after its own kind. And He commanded them to fill the earth and the seas. At the end of the fifth day, God again pronounced it good. The sixth day was the last day of creation. God made the land-dwelling animals, from the largest elephant to the smallest insect. For His final act of creation, God made man, the only creature that He made in His image. And we find that in Genesis 1, verses 24 through 31. God made man's body from the same matter He had used to create the earth. But man received his soul and spirit directly from God. All the living things upon the earth were made to benefit man. It was part of God's wise design for man to rule over the rest of creation. At the end of the sixth day, when God surveyed all he had made, he saw that it was very good. At the very end, after creating all these amazing, wonderful things, the things in outer space, the things here on earth, God made people. And he made us in his image. He made us special to have a relationship with him. On the seventh day, God rested. He blessed the seventh day and sanctified it. That is, he set it apart as a special day. God could have created everything at once, but he chose to do it in 6 days and to rest on the seventh in order to give us a pattern for the way he wants us to do our work. And we see that in Exodus chapter 20, verses 9 through 11. Just recently, scientists have discovered that people are healthier if they rest for 1 day each week. How wise is our God, who formed us for himself. Throughout history, there have been people, even scientists, who have thought up their own stories of how things came to be. Many myths, hypotheses, and theories of creation have been developed and discarded, but no one but the designer and creator of the universe is qualified to tell us how our magnificent universe really came into existence. By late 1968, the American space team was almost ready to make a landing on the moon. But before making the actual landing, they wanted to be certain everything was working perfectly. Consequently, they sent up 3 astronauts to circle the moon without landing, check out all of the equipment, and then return to Earth. It was almost Christmas time in December of 1968 before the Apollo 8 mission was launched. Everything went well. Millions of people all over the world were watching their televisions as the astronauts circled the moon. As the Christmas day approached, the astronauts started reading from the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. They took turns reading and read the first 10 verses of Genesis. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then they finished with, and from the crew of Apollo 8, we close with a good night, good luck, and Merry Christmas. And God bless all of you on the good earth. Throughout history, from the age of Adam to the age of the astronauts, people who have really wanted to know how our great universe came to be have looked to the Creator for the answer. And those who have searched for him sincerely have found him. Jesus said, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God," in Matthew 5:8. It says, have you seen him this year as you've sought to understand God's world? We've looked at many things so far in science this year. We're going to continue to look at many other things that God has done. How he's perfectly created the earth where it is. It's not too close to the sun and it's not too far away. How he's given us the plants that we need in order to survive by giving us food and also giving us oxygen. We've seen how God has placed us on earth to take care of the earth. And as we go through this difficult time with not being here at school, hopefully you're being able to spend more time learning about who God is at home with your families.